This is a short video about sorting out any problems which occur in the field and the most likely causes of them. We have a basic valve here. So we have an inlet, we have a flow control, we have an electric slice. In this case it's a double with a D on it, and an electric outlet. The combination is it's got main RV there is an RV on the bypass cartridge, two solenoids on and off that to operate service, and a pressurizing valve at the back. If we start from the right hand side here, the biggest problems by losing all service, which is oil coming out in the main galleries here, is to look at the pressurizing valve. If you unscrew this will be torqued up. Obviously you'll have to use a spanner or a socket and re-torque that up when you're finished. Is to have a look at this combination in here. In here is a spring with a piston. If there's debris which have opened these orifices to tank, all that oil will disappear to tank. And you can push this piston up and down. It is quite stiff, but you can do it. Yeah, there's a bit of force behind that. But again, if you want to be looking at these holes here for debris. If there's nothing in there, you have to move on. That will lose you all service if that's going to tank. The next thing is the little solenoids on the top of the manifold. Again, to look at these, checking that the holes have got no debris in them, or down the main gallery. And to operate that, you'll need to apply a coil onto it, then use a slave voltage and click it on and off to see you've got movement in the spool. If you've got no movement, obviously it's jammed up and you'll have to replace that. Again, these things are torqued down as well. Important to torque it to the right torques, because you can get distortion in the main body if you over tighten things. So that's that one. So you'll have to check both of those. Then moving on into the inlet side of it, the first thing the pressure or the flow will come to will be the bypass cartridge. The bypass cartridge is obviously diverting oil. If you've got 60 litres going in, you only need 30 litres. By altering the flow control to achieve your 30 litres, the other 30 litres needs to go to tank. And that's the basic principle behind it. But with that, the first thing that comes in contact with the flow will be the bypass cartridge. Again, looking at the piston, making sure that piston moves up and down, because what will happen, debris will get trapped in there. Open that piston, open those holes, and that will divert oil to tank and you'll lose all service. So check that one. Check the needle. Unusual that the needle will cause you issues, but it may be worth a check. Check there's no debris actually on the needle or in the orifice, because you won't get shut off. To operate the flow control, out gives you more flow, in gives you less. That's one to look at. And finally, to look at the RV. This is the main RV, so that will control the pressure. Again, to look at debris which may be hanging on the needle or the orifice there, and you won't get shut off. So have a quick look at that. And to adjust, obviously in will give you more pressure and out will give you less pressure, but to set that properly you'll need a pressure gauge on one of the service ports to get you to set the right pressure that we recommend for the valve. Fault finding on the next setup, which has the unloader section in it. We had the flow control earlier, now we've got the unloader. Same thing applies. You got inlet there, the unloader there, service ports, outlet. This is electric section. So you've got the pressurizing valve and your two solenoids to operate service. With the unloader, obviously that's an emergency to dump all pressure suddenly. So we have to operate that, we have an unloader there. This is a solenoid, and that will dump everything to tank. And we have a manual override, which is this little screw down the bottom here. Debris is the biggest problem with them. Contamination of oil. So first port of call is the unloader. So if you lose any control to service, have a look at the unloader, the bypass. Again, debris will be found usually in these holes which are situated at the bottom of the bypass. And again, just make sure the piston is free movement up and down, and there's nothing snagging that up, because if there's a bit of debris there, it will hold the piston open and that will dump oil to tank. So that's one to look for. And on the solenoid, again, looking for debris in these little cross holes if this is not working electrically. Again, you can put the coil onto the back end of it and fire that with a slave battery or power to it, and just watch the piston move up and down. So this will have an O spool in it, and the on and offs are a closed center C spool. And that's your unloader section. This is just to show you another combination of the unloader and an inlet in a combination manifold. So you have the same principles apply. You have the bypass cartridge, which is there, and the on and off solenoid, which dumps it to tank. And again, the manual override is attached there. Unadvisable to try and undo this in the field because that is glued in, and if you do so, you could take the threads with it. So very rare that gives a problem. It's either in or out, or somebody snapped it off or whatever, then you'll have to take it out. But I wouldn't try and take that out with if you don't need to. So I would attack the areas which you can get to very easily, which is the bypass and the solenoid, and looking for debris in those two items.